Okay. If you are listening to this, you are most likely privileged. Privileged enough to have a meal every day. Privileged enough to wear a different outfit of your choice every day. You have the option of not being bored because you can actually afford to be entertained. You do not stress about how you are going to pay for college. You stress about what college you want to attend. Though you go through obstacles, life is a breeze. The one thing we privileged do is take the basic needs for granted. We have options, while struggling people have scanty amounts of food, shelter, and clothing. They do not have the option of a full, healthy meal. Some may even have to skip a meal because they just do not have it. They do not have the option of going to the closet and picking what shirt, bottoms, or shoes they want to wear out. They fear fiction because they do not have the funds to keep paying the bills. My grandmother, whom I wish I had the privilege of meeting, gave birth to my father at 14. My dad's father wasn't in his life. She eventually gave birth to my 3 aunties, each with a different father. However, none of these men gave her the financial support she needed to raise her children. My dad lived with his 3 aunties and single mother in a 1-bedroom apartment. They worried about what they would eat each day. They worried about keeping the lights on each month. My dad had to work hard to get to where he is now. I may not have grown up with his same experiences. However, watching my dad every day and how he appreciates the basic needs I used to take for granted taught me to be humble. My mother never met her dad. She grew up with an abusive stepfather that never worked. My grandmother could never give my mom, my 3 aunties, and my 2 uncles the love they needed due to the abusive stepfather they had living with them. They grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment, with my mom sharing a bunk bed with her twin. My mom wore the same pair of shoes every day and only had 5 outfits to wear her entire high school years, including her pajamas. She grew up on food stamps and long lines for government cheese. However, my parents' stories are not just about struggling and suffering through poverty. Their experiences made it clear to me that given the opportunity, people can overcome any situation. For my dad, the opportunity was a football scholarship. The opportunity let my dad see that there was more to life than just struggle. It expanded his mind and motivated him to make sure his family did not live the same. Even through the tough times my mother went through with her family, it did not stop her from getting an education. It took her 7 years and many student loans to get a bachelor's degree because she had to raise 2 girls at home while my dad finished college. It took many years and sacrifices to get to where she is. Their experiences show me how socioeconomic and class privilege makes life harder for those who are poor and easier for those who are not. My parents had to work much harder to achieve the same level of education many class families would take for granted. My parents have lived in poverty and lived being privileged. They understand what it is to have nothing. As for many people that only live privileged, they truly do not understand. They made sure I had everything they never had growing up. I've never been hungry for food. I've always been loved, or physical things I wanted like clothes and shoes. However, the greatest blessing they have given me was their understanding of poverty. As I learned to see my parents as people, rather than just my caretakers, I realized I was trivializing the experiences of my parents every time I judged people struggling through poverty. My family has given me many blessings. My dad encouraged me in basketball, and without him, I would not be attending SMU on a full basketball scholarship. My mom is my best role model and my best friend. I tell her all my secrets, and I want to be half the woman I am without her. As I mature into a beautiful, strong-minded Black woman, I have realized how childish and naive I was, and I wish I would to realize that a long time ago. Being privileged, you forget how lucky you are. You might be warm in the cold weather, but you forget about the people who are freezing to death. You throw away food you did not finish, but people are out there dying of hunger. You waste a bottle of water, while some people are fighting for clean water. You cry because your parents said no about going out somewhere, but children are out there crying because they're getting taken away from their parents. You judge people who commit crimes, even though it is wrong. However, you don't actually try to understand the story. Some of you will never understand until you are actually living into their shoes. And many people living in poverty will never understand the problems many people go through in order to keep their success. But all I ask for is to be grateful and thankful for the family and everything you have. Appreciate all the opportunities that life has put in front of you because they are not given to many people. Last but not least, always be kind to others because you never know their story or their struggle. Mrs. Wong, Mrs. Walsworth, Mrs. Katuka, Ms. Beckermeyer, and Aubrey, I want to say thank you for helping me with the speech and guiding me. Kari, Jada, Grace, Kendra, you guys are my closest friends. I can talk to you guys about anything, and I can truly be myself around you guys. Savannah, Barry, Beezy, Morris, you guys are my bro friends, and you guys are the funniest guys I know. And Savannah, you're the most caring guy I knew. You were always there when I was most sad. Coach Henry, you have inspired me to get to know God a lot more. And Coach Hill, I hope to be as independent and strong-minded like you when I get older. Tashawn, my dear sister, I want you to know that deep down inside, I love you more than anything in this world and just want the best for you. I can sometimes be very hard on you, but no person is going to care for you like I do. Mom and Dad, thank you guys for always putting me in the best situation and knowing me better than anyone else. You guys have believed and sacrificed so much for me to make sure I do better than you guys. And I will. One day I will repay you guys, and when that day comes, you guys won't have to worry about a single thing no more because I got you. Love you and love you all.